Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. I'm Lucas and welcome back to another F1 23 League Racing video here on the channel. And today we have WOR Round 6 around Spa here in Belgium. And without further ado, not even going to waste any time, here we are in Q1, heading into our first run, heading into turn 1, getting the braking point just around 100 metres, but we actually braked too deep on this attempt. We managed to salvage the exit, but that was a little bit too hot on the way in to turn 1. So yeah, very easy to mess up, and you actually, albeit Eau Rouge and Oradion aren't really considered corners, it's actually really easy to somehow lose like a few hundreds up this way, up that sort of section. So you've got to try and minimise your scrub. Heading into Les Combes now with a 962 sector 1. Nice and clean over the cut, getting on the power up to 5th gear. Nice and smooth on the way out, and now into the downhill right-hander. Really understeer on the way in and on the way out, so it's quite a tricky corner to get right. Then into No Name, infamous tricky corner, especially with track limits, and then coming into Podium. We take a slight lift just for a bit of a confidence lift into there, but we should be, yeah, as qualifying progresses on, looking to take that flat out, which is a kind of nuts thing to think about actually, considering how tricky it is in previous games to take that section. But heading now to the end of sector 2, a nice clean line through there, not opting to use any curb, but we have our 12-3 split now coming towards the end of the lap. So yeah, now we just have one more chicane to negotiate as we head towards the bus stop through Blanchimont. I hope I pronounced that right, please don't hit me if I haven't. Just one more corner to negotiate, heavy on the brakes, just around 100 metres. Getting the rear to rotate down to 2nd gear just to chip the car in a little bit. Struggling to correct the car a little bit on the exit, but we set a 40.4.
Time everywhere, pretty much.
And that should be, and is, sorry, more than good enough to get through in the one run. So there we have it then. Q1 completed and through in the one. Nice clean execution. And here we are now for Q2. For our first attempt then as well. We didn't even bother with a used tyre run, as it was yeah, just too long a lap. Spa takes forever to get around, but heading into turn 1, not quite getting the apex again, and this time we have a little bit of a snap. So turn 1 carried relatively good speed, but we just made a bit of a mess of the execution and of the line. So yeah, heading through now Eau Rouge and Radion for the second time in this video. DRS open and then going down the Kebble straight. Yeah, with Spa being such a long track as well, the track evolves quite a bit as the session goes on, so it's important to get your the laps in as the session progresses. But heading through the Les Combes section relatively well, nicely tucked into the apex on the entry and the exit. Good track width usage on the exit, going through No Name, using all the road in the exit. You can actually hear how close I got there. Another little bit of a confidence lift, didn't want to quite risk it. Going through on this time, heading into Piff Path, I believe it's called. What you want to really tuck yourself in over these curbs, using all the road in the exit there as well, but we didn't quite manage to get the optimal execution through there. Oh, really close to the track limits on the exit that time, with a 166 split this time. Yeah, a little bit scruffier this lap, a little bit rougher on the edges in a few places, but now we just have one more section to negotiate. Nicholas Longay goes fastest with 1.1 as we head towards the final chicane. Relatively well executed. DRS open, of course, short run to the line, and we slot ourselves in into P2, 600s behind the leader, and again good enough to get us through in the one run. So we now have a fresh set of softs for the race if we so choose to use one. But now here we are in Q3 for the first run of the session. This time though, getting a relatively good rotation but not a great exit. It looks like a clean turn 1, but we didn't actually get a good launch, a good spring out of the corner, albeit the line and execution looked pretty clean. So we've got a little bit of work to do as we progress through this lap here in Q3, with the grip now at its premium, heading into Les Combes. And we actually braked too deep this time, where I had to go down to 4th gear to try and salvage the corner a little bit, but that was a bit too hot into Les Combes. Now heading into the downhill right-hander. That was not a great. We're just wasting distance on the inside. Not very good through there at all. Heading through No Name, nearly invalidating as well. That was really close, but quite a messy lap so far. Just bleeding lap time. Again, another confidence lift in Q3. We should really be taking it flat through there. So this lap is just sort of bleeding lap time all the way. This time getting a bit better usage of the curb. Heading through the end section of sector 2, using quite a bit of curb on the inside this time, but it's only a 12.108 split.
It's so slow.
And this lap is not materialising into anything good whatsoever at this point. So yeah, we've got a lot of work to do in this last chicane to somewhat salvage this banker lap, but heading into the chicane now, heavy on the brakes, getting the car to rotate, having to open the steering a little bit with a little bit of oversteer. Not a great exit though at all, so this has been a pretty poor...
What the hell happened there? Why was that so slow?
Pretty poor first effort in Q3, but we know there's plenty of time in it, so we've just got to knuckle down and try and execute the best final run that we can. So heading now into the final run of Q3 here in WOR Belgium, into turn 1, nicely rotated, much cleaner this time, getting a good launch out the corner, planting the power, and as you can see, half a tenth up already. And sector 1 really is just one corner if you look at it in the grand scheme of things, trying to minimise the scrub through Eau Rouge and Radeon, and we now have half a tenth in the pocket up as we head towards Les Combes. Last lap we went too deep into this section, so how are we going to do this time? We actually do go slightly deep, but we commit harder into the second part of that chicane, and we actually carry some good momentum throughout. So now we need to tuck the car in tighter in this downhill right-hander, getting nicely to that apex, tighter on the exit as well, bringing it further to the right for No Name, getting a good launch on the exit, maybe a little bit hesitant, but now here we are into Podium, pinning it flat in this qualifying session for the first time, and there we go, we gain even more lap time. This lap is starting to materialise, but it's not done yet. Heading into Piff Paff now, much better usage of the curb, opens up the left, getting on the power nice and early, use that track width on the exit, carrying so much speed into this right-hander, using the road on the exit, and now we are on a much better lap, but we have just one chicane left to negotiate before we can hopefully put ourselves in a good position to fight for pole. Heading through Blanchimont now, flat out through the left, minimise the scrub, and now we're just going to try and not lose any time in this chicane. Let's not over risk it, heavy on the brakes. Fourth gear, letting the car rotate, using the curb on the inside. Third gear, a little bit of a snap on the exit, but a better drive out of the corner, and we're going to go straight to P1.
You cooked.
Right, I'm off to the toilet, back man.
Jag kommer inte gå. Jag kommer just.
And there we have it, with a pretty damn good attempt in the end. Yeah, respectable Q3 run, put it on pole position, which is what we love to see. But unfortunately at Spa it doesn't mean very much, so here we are on the grid, starting in the hards today. 5 red lights are out, and we actually get a miserable start because the steering didn't actually activate, because we do the lobby restarts now before these races, and for some reason the steering didn't actually work off the line, so didn't quite get a good feeling as to the start there. But nice and clean out of La Source now though, as we head up through Eau Rouge and Radeon for the first of 22 times in this race, and already people are blasting their ERS on lap 1 of this race. We're going 2 wide, 3 wide, make that 4 wide up the inside as Jack West is on the grass for some reason going into here, so we try and survive our way through here as we go round the outside now of our junior dev Otis, and we actually somehow managed to survive all of that chaos. I think Jack West got caught up on our side pod in the midst of all of that, but it's kind of hard to expect much else given that he was on the grass, which is unfortunate for him, but not really much doing we can have there. But moving on in this race, we actually get a validation through there, as the balance going from quality to race is quite different, so got to keep ourselves in check a little bit as Nicholas Longate has managed to break away with the soft tyres, going for a bit of a different strategy as Nicholas in this race, but we are in a relatively good position. We know that those softs are going to die out in a few laps time, so we just wanted to be patient and to try and not overburn our ERS. We had to use a little bit on that first lap just due to the madness that was whatever that, I don't even know what you want to call it, just people burning their ERS for whatever reason on the first lap, trying to jockey for position as we head into the bus stop chicane for the first time in this race. And yeah, here we are now, 1.5 seconds back from Nicholas Longy as we skip on now though to the top of Radion now, heading onto the Kemmel Straight on lap 2. Ismail Fassi blasting the ERS, so forcing Otis to use it, but he actually tags it!
Line, man.
He actually tags us in the back on the straight, which you can hear me getting pretty animated about. And I should note before people try and get a little bit argumentative about it, Ismail did apologise after the race, so please no hate, please. We're not trying to spread any negativity, but yeah, getting ourselves back into P2 now, trying to be efficient with the DRS with Otis. Now onto lap 4, and yeah, onto lap 4 the gap is 2.6 seconds, 2.5 seconds to Nicholas Longy, as Jarno Opner now on those soft tyres going for a different strategy. Is now up into P3 and will surely be overtaking us in just a moment, such as the ERS and the DRS. But yeah, now we have 2 soft runners in the top 2 positions, but we have now started to close the gap down to Nicholas Longy, and as you can see, skipping onto lap 9, we are right on the back of these soft runners, just trying to bide our time. And yeah, now it is a case of just playing it patient. We know those softs are going to die out. We just need to play the long game and try and maximise our strategy on these hards. So skipping towards the end of lap 9 now.
You'll hit phase.
Nicholas dives into the pits at the last second, so now we should have a good opportunity to try and slingshot ourselves into the DRS of Jarno. But as you're going to notice in a second, the gap is just over a second, and I mistakenly didn't really use ERS. I took it for granted that I would get the DRS and ERS here, but we actually miss it by literally a few thousandths of a second. So we are now exposed without DRS on this straight, and we have Otis and Ismail Fassi coming down. So Otis is going to be forced to make the overtake. Ismail Fassi now is going to get a free run. We're having to waste ERS now to try and hold on to the position, but we're going to sling round the outside, going round the outside of Ismail Fassi, but he loses the car into our side pod, and sorry, not into our side pod, onto our side. We get an unfair warning for it, as you can hear me starting to get pretty animated because we got an illegal overtake. So yeah, forfeiting the position, as technically you need to do anyway, as we went off the track to complete the move, albeit we were forced off the track. It's just the way it is. And you can see I was extremely annoyed at this point. And yeah, we had to waste a lot of ERS, and we picked up a warning that wasn't our fault as well. So yeah, that warning will be made redundant if we pick up a penalty in this race, which is all good. So yeah, as you can see, Jarno dove into the box, I believe, at the end of lap 10, and now we are here on lap 12. Ismail Fassi takes the lead of this race. We have Otis Lawrence in P2. We are just chilling behind, trying to regenerate some of that battery that we've had to waste in this race. Ismail Fassi dives into the box at the end of lap 12, so we are going to be working with Otis here to get ourselves slingshotted into P1. And yeah, making sure that we both lose as little time as possible. And yeah, at the end of lap 13, we are both going to dive into the box to get ourselves onto a nice fresh set of medium tyres. We should have a decent tyre advantage now relative to the cars that we are racing in this race. So now, let's take a breath. There's been a bit of chaos in this race, but now we go into the second phase. So yeah, onto the mediums. We actually get slowed down a little bit by that wall, which was quite annoying, but that's just the way the game is. And yeah, where are we going to rejoin now? Coming out of the pits, we have Wilson Hughes, our teammate, going past Ismail Fassi, Yannick Smith. Now, we see Yannick ahead is flashing on ERS, and you can see immediately I am spamming the ERS because I do not want to get held up an entire middle sector to yeah, while our tyres are fresh. But we start to blast it, going down the straight, but Yannick Smith actually lets us go in the end, which was fair play from him, so thanks very much for that. But yeah, now here we are. This is where the fun begins. Lap 14, this is where we're going to have to start making some overtakes and begin our climb back up towards P1 if we can. So here we are heading into the bus stop chicane. We send a little bit of a dummy up the inside of Jed Norgrove, and that was a pretty sweet move up the inside into the bus stop. And yeah, that is one position in the books. So skipping on to lap 15 now, heading up Radion now. Wilson and Ismail Fassi now ahead of us. Wilson without the DRS, so we're going to go past him. But Ismail Fassi, for whatever reason, decided to actually let us go here. I'm still not quite sure why he done it, but regardless, we managed to get the position. But skipping on to lap 16, we're on the fastest lap of the race now. We are catching the lead train at a rate of knots at this point, such as our tyre advantage at the moment, but it's still not going to be easy to try and get ourselves through all of the traffic, especially with ERS and DRS and all that shenanigans. It is not an easy task to do. But here we are though, Ismail Fassi now slinging back past us, which was really frustrating because we had the tyre advantage and a bit of the pace advantage as well, so we were now going to get held up for the rest of this middle sector. And as you can see, we pick up our penalty there, but that I can confirm has been removed due to the unfair warning that we got from having to go off the track. So there is actually no penalty in this race to bear in mind. So we are actually where we are on track as we move into P5 on lap 17, getting ahead of Ismail Fassi again. But here we are now, part of the lead train. We can see P1, which is I believe Jan Otmir, and then Nicholas Longe, followed by Pradzits and Iker Bena. And yeah, Iker diving up the inside. We actually have to get ourselves a little bit out the way there as they go side by side ahead for position, but we actually smell a bit of opportunity to get a 2-for-1 here. So we've got the inside of Tomic, Iker goes defensive, he moves to the left, we move to the right, we've got the inside into La Sauce, and because we get the DRS, that is 2-for-1. Crucial move for us in this race. On to lap 18 now, and now we have the two leaders ahead on their older mediums. But unfortunately for us, we actually had significantly less battery, so now it became a game of patience to try and not waste battery if we didn't need it, having to spam a little bit to defend from Iker Bena, but nonetheless managing to solidify the position and get ourselves into the podium places.
Why let me through and then go
but
past?
Yeah, on to lap 19, Jaro Otmir now trading position with Nicholas Longe, both cars ahead with more battery than us. So yeah, we, as you can see with the lap skipping on a little bit, we're just trying to regenerate our battery little by little. The closing distance there was crazy into that Lecombe chicane. But yeah, as we head into the middle sector, but heading towards the end of lap 20 now, start of lap 21, we are really close to the back of Jan Otmir. We have a little look up the inside just to try and see if there was any possibility that we'd be able to get the move done, but we decide better of it. We use a little bit of ERS to try and fight it, but that was also to try and close in on Nicholas, as we knew he had a lot of ERS, but we wanted to try and get ourselves into P2 for this final lap. So now we are glued to the diffuser of the cars ahead of us. DRS open, we go for the outside, slotting behind Jarno, who has the DRS, trying to get the position on Nicholas. We have a little look up the inside of Jarno, but think better of it, and now we have successfully managed to get up into P2. But now,
be careful, 21.
We have to be careful because we've only got 40% ERS, and the car ahead and behind have more energy than us, but we only need so much to get the move done, so we're still well in this fight for the race. But as you can see, slotting in behind Jarno, Nico with so much overspeed goes for the outside. We go up for the inside here to try and just hang in there, and yet we maintain P2, but Nico gets tagged in the last chicane, so he's now a second behind as we head onto the last lap, and now we are tucked in right behind Jan Otmir for the win of this race. But we are wise to it, we know what he's going to try and do. We slot in directly behind Jarno so that he couldn't play the DRS game, and we now get DRS, but unfortunately with us playing the DRS game, Nico now has the slingshot to get past both of us. So here we are now, DRS enabled, DRS enabled, ERS deployed. We go for the outside, which it might have been a mistake as Nicholas gets the inside as Jarno doesn't cover it, and now we're side by side. We have to send it round the outside, trying to give enough room, and we just about stay on the track, but unfortunately Nico gets round the outside, and now we have Jarno up the inside, and he loses his car, and now we're all over the place round the outside. We try and go round the outside again, Jarno loses his car again and goes into our side pod, which was pretty frustrating at the time because I felt like we were just losing the opportunity to fight for anything in this race, and that was a nail in the coffin for our hopes of victory in this race, and now we have got less energy to try and fight for, you know, into this bus stop chicane. So I'm right on the gearbox of Yarno now, but that was the nail in the coffin. There was a huge accident behind us actually in this closing section of the race before Piff Paff, but yeah, now heading through Stavolo for the final time. We're blasting the ERS, but we're still losing distance on the car ahead as we're all deploying our ERS. Nico has plenty in reserve, but that's unfortunately going to be it for us unless we can make a big dive bomb here. Then we send it up the inside, just trying to hope for anything. We absolutely lose the car. Yarno dies at the last minute. I try and switch it back, but ultimately it's not enough. We gave it a good go, but we managed to secure P3 in this race. That was a pretty chaotic one. And yeah, Nicholas Longate taking the win, so GG's to him. Yarno in P2. Yeah, that's the way it goes sometimes. Sometimes it goes your way, sometimes it doesn't. It wouldn't have taken many things to go differently for us to have taken the win. But nonetheless, another very positive race. Pace was excellent, another pole position, and yeah, well executed strategy. Just thank you to my boys, you know, Anton, Bloom, you know, McLaren Shadow for giving us a good run, and yeah. And shout out to Wilson. I think Wilson got P4 in this race as well. Once post-race penalties and stuff, all that were applied. So yeah, P3 and 4 for the Maka boys. And yeah, I think that'll do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've all enjoyed this. Yeah, this was a chaotic race to do and to commentate over. So yeah, let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments. Hope you're having an amazing day. Like and subscribe, and yeah, as I say, comment down below what you thought. I love reading your guys' comments on the races and your thoughts and stuff like that. So yeah, I love you guys. Thank you so much for the support. Genuinely, it means the world. You know I haven't actually thanked people for it yet, but I think we're over 15,000 subscribers now, which is kind of nuts. And yeah, the love has been amazing recently. So thank you very much for watching. I love you guys. Have a great rest of your day. Hope you're all happy. Love yous all. Ciao.